Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Carnivores Anonymous online meeting. I'm Lisa Levinson. I work with In Defense of Animals, and we host this monthly program to provide people with some tools and also some inspiration to approach a vegan diet. And we like to do that by bringing in speakers who can inspire us with their stories and also share a bit about what happened along the way, maybe some ups and downs, so that we can relate and also know that it is a journey, and we appreciate that. And through the 12-step program that we started, we want to help people with acceptance and love to approach a vegan diet and lifestyle. So I'm really eager today to share with you our guest speaker. And you may have seen him before on YouTube. He's very popular uh, on YouTube, and I'm going to tell you why. So, Brian Manowitz is the vegan black metal chef. He
Greetings,
provides,
Carnivores Anonymous.
yes, in just a moment, he's almost here. And he answers the question, what do vegans eat? Via a cookbook, a website, and YouTube videos, to all set to his self-made and a recorded soundtrack of black metal music with comedy thrown into the mix. And you got a little taste of that a moment ago. He also encourages his followers to be mindful of their choices. So without any further ado, I'd like you to meet the vegan black metal chef. Hey, Brian, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How's everyone out there?
Good. I think we're great. Excited to see you. We've got some people on board who've tuned into our webinar. And then we also have people who are joining us on Facebook Live. So we're all ready to hear your vegan story.
Greetings in Facebook land. Yeah, so my vegan story. So I went vegan back in either 2000 or 2001, like marking the date of your vegan anniversary or whatever it's called now. Wasn't I don't know how many people did that back or like that or not. Like maybe they did, maybe I'm just I don't care about dates, but somewhere in 2000 2001. Um Basically, I probably have the most typical why I became vegan story ever. I had a girlfriend in late high school that went vegetarian, and and um, and at the time, I said, well, I recognize that as the right way to go, but I'm not ready for that yet. So I didn't do anything, and uh, so a year went by, and I'd went off to college, and I looked back at her about a year later, and I was like, well, she didn't die, so what am I so afraid of? And then I recognized it as a fear within myself, and not a fear of anything real. Um, it was just this fear of just some deeply conditioned fear of nothing, of I like, yeah, who knows, like and so I couldn't live with myself just being afraid of a nothing. And so I faced that fear and became vegetarian. Then for about 2 months, I think. Then about 2 months later, I went to this animal rights group on campus that had just started up, called Animal Activists of Alachua, at the University of Florida, where I was attending, and saw a couple of videos. It's probably a couple PETA videos that they showed there before the age of YouTube. And after I saw that, I was like, okay, well, now I'm vegan. Um, but yeah, and then so that was the basic story. Although at like right when I had went vegan, I had continued to eat honey because I didn't really like put together the exploitation. And so it's sort of like then like a week or so later, like kind of just thought about it, and then I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna cut the exploitation off the roots. Like I don't need the honey and in the whole wheat bread that that is not that good anyways. And yeah, so it's been sort of just a journey ever since then. Um, and and Lisa's looks like her mic went mute. I don't know if that's on purpose or if we lost a feed or anything. Um, but maybe
Oh
she'll.
no, I'm here. I'm here.
Oh,
No, no
gotcha.
worries.
Okay, gotcha. And so yeah, so that was back in 2000 to 2001, in Gainesville, Florida. And so been vegan for 18, 19 years now. And yeah, it's been the best choice could have ever made for my life in general. Um, I guess in the I started cooking in general because uh, when I turned vegan, I realized that the only the main way I'm going to eat good food is if I learn how to make it, because there weren't although at that time I would say that that was right on the cusp of where you're starting to see even some of the modern products that we have today, like I think tofuti ice cream came out a bit before that, which was awful. And when I had it, I had just this visceral reaction to it, and I was like, well, I'm just gonna have to forget about ice cream ever again. Then came along Rice Dream, which was substantially better, and then Soy Delicious, which is now So Delicious, which was phenomenally better. And then although I'm not 100% sure on all the timelines, but this is when I discovered them. And then there was Tofuti Cuties, which were these little ice cream sandwiches that were fantastic. And yeah, so I could eat ice cream again. And and but just in general, like yeah, so I had my sort of vegan journey from then. Then I've been doing the vegan black metal chef stuff since what, like 2012, 2013 or so, um, somewhere around that time. And I'm terrible with dates. And yeah, so at that time I'd figured, well, I think my food tastes really good. It's not that difficult to make, and it's cheap. And these are three things that people think veganism isn't. Um, so I said, well, I need to tell the world about this, and so I thought about making a cooking show, but cooking shows kind of bore me and put me to sleep. So I made the cooking show that I wanted to see, and luckily a few other people wanted to see it too. And if you haven't seen it, it's a musical cooking show where it's in a dungeon-like kitchen, and I'm in face paint and armor, and I write the soundtrack to the episodes, and the lyrics to the songs are the recipes and what's going on, and I have a cookbook as well. And yeah, did you want to have some questions, or did you want me to talk more about various things?
Well, it's up to you. Did you happen to have any struggles along the way? I mean, how did you feel when you were making that big
So,
decision, that big
so,
choices?
so struggles along the way. I still tell people to this day that it's um, although maybe even now the amount of convenience foods are tremendous compared to what was back then. Although what was back then, there was still some things for sure. And So the main struggle I tell people is not finding something delicious vegan to eat. That's actually relatively easy. The main struggle is the social conditioning of your friends and family around you. And actually, this was pointed out just the other day when one of my friends who is not vegan yet, as far as I know at least, she posted that her and her boyfriend were thinking about going vegan. And you should just see the line of ew and like, why would you do that? Like, and like, you can't tell me that that stuff tastes good. And 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 I had been there with to some vegan restaurants and showed that she could have some like of her dishes that she was culturally familiar with. I think she was Mexican American, and she's like, oh, these are fantastic. Like and and but yeah, you should have seen the just the conditioning of your friends. And if you would have posted on as a post on Facebook, you know what, I'm going to go out partying every night this week, people would say, yeah, you know what, sometimes you gotta let loose every now and then. If you took up smoking, people might go, oh, well, I mean, it's not that good for you, but I understand, I mean, it relieves the stress. But if you say you're going vegan, your family and friends will go, like, you're gonna die. Why do you hate me? Why do you hate everything my family stands for? Why do you hate holidays? Like and yeah, that's like the reactions that you get from friends and family is actually is it's probably and society in general is the hardest part about going vegan. It's the social conditioning. And if you can buck the social conditioning, then you're 98% there. The rest is reading some labels and trying some different food. And and which I always say that is like the next sort of first struggle when you're going vegan is that you have to find a completely different set of things to eat for the most part. Be At least I did. And what that usually entails is reading a ton of labels of ingredients, like ingredient labels in the supermarkets and things that you go to. And I would say that it's not a one-time installment because you're always reading some labels, but the major bulk of it, um, you get over the major bulk of it eventually. And so it's not some utterly continuous thing that every time you go to the grocery store you have to read 12 billion labels. But yeah, that's so you have to say, okay, you know what, I'm going to liberate a couple hours of my life to read some labels, and you have to be okay with that, and that has to be what you want to do. And that way it doesn't make it a struggle, it makes it what you want to do. Because honestly, like no one can withstand a constant struggle. All of this has to be what you want to do. No one has the willpower to it doesn't feel like some constant struggle. It feels like like I mean, I eat more of a variety of stuff now and better stuff now than I ever ate like before I was vegan. And I think vegans enjoy food more than anyone. I mean, you should see how we all freak out about different restaurants and different snack foods and different regular foods and whatever. But but uh yeah, so no one has there's not infinite willpower in anybody. So it can never feel like some kind of constant struggle. I would say that if it felt like a constant struggle, like, oh, I just really want to eat chicken nuggets right now or something, then what I would do is I would picture the chicken nuggets and I would think about the life of the animal that went through that, and like sort of view in my mind like every step of their life along the way. And after you do that a few times, you don't want to be a part of that. And that's what makes it not a struggle. I mean, it makes it no less of a struggle than anything else that you don't want to do. Like if you don't want to participate in I mean, in murder or anything else, it's not a struggle to not constantly murder because you don't want to do it. So yeah, you have to make it something that you don't want to do.
Yeah, I really appreciate um, your strategy because often people say, well, how can I, they feel tempted, and that's part of what we do at Carnivores Anonymous is when people struggle with their temptation of meat or dairy, being able to bring them back to their goals, their perspective, and like you described, really thinking about the animals behind each meal. Like, who
Yeah,
is that? Who is on your plate? Whose body parts? Whose secretions? That's what's so important, is keeping that connection, because in our culture we're so separated, especially if we go to the store and see animals' bodies in wrapped in cellophane, and
doesn't even look
that,
like bodies anymore.
yeah.
Especially once they're breaded and fried, they just look like little random food pieces that look
Yeah.
nothing like the original animal. And as heart wrenching and as hard as it is, I think it's really good to watch videos like Earthlings and Dominion to
Mhm.
remind us. You don't have to watch them all the time, but but a good watch of that, and then that will help you when you're trying to think of what the animal endured. You can picture exactly what you saw, and think of every day of the animal's life. Um, Basically, uh, unbelievable hell, and the best day of their life is when they're slaughtered. I mean, like that's pretty miserable. And so yeah, as hard as sort of hard truth as that is, if we think about that, with before taking a bite of the sandwich or buying a sandwich or something, then you don't even want the sandwich. you're, you're like, no way, I'm gonna get something that doesn't entail all that.
Yes, exactly. What you're sharing kind of reminds me of this old Abbott and Costello routine from a long time ago. Some of you might not even know who they are, but they were these hilarious. It was a comedy act, and there was one scene with one of them had ordered some food and was at a table, and there was actually, they had spilled some milk and had gone, was leaking under the table, and there was a cat under there who was meowing and licking up the milk. But at the same time, the there was the chef in the background who was screaming and had a machete and was running around as if he was trying to kill an animal. And in the scene, it shows that the person, either Abbott or Lou, who's eating, every time he goes to put his fork into the meal there, he hears this meow, coming out, and then he's starting to put two and two together and thinking, am I eating this cat? And so here they were using a really great vegan advocacy tool without even doing it on purpose, just having people question so many things. Why would we hurt another animal? What if that animal was a cat? What if it was a cow? He or she was a cow. And I think it really stuck with me, and I was probably pretty young when I saw that. So I think that these ideas and these metaphors that you're describing of what do we actually do, what do vegans do when we're how, what's the thought process that goes behind it? That's why many vegans don't wear leather coats, is because they have this vision in their mind of what did it take to make that coat, who died, whose skin am I in. So I think that these are, when we are looking for motivation and wondering, oh, this packaged, sanitized item actually was, it was came from a cow
Mhm.
or a pig, and so it's so key to make that connection.
Yeah, 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 and uh, yeah. So I mean, in addition to, so you have to liberate a little bit of time to read some labels in the beginning, and in addition to that, let's say you get stuck about okay, I have no idea what to eat, like uh, I just I'm stumped. I have no idea, and your brain just locks up. Then I would say liberate, set aside a little bit of money. Doesn't have to be a tremendous amount of money, but a little bit of money to whenever you get stuck, to just go out and try a something vegan at a vegan place or a vegan option at a not totally vegan place. And as you do that, you're going to get sort of inspired by different things that you like and different things that you could possibly make at home if that's your style of things, or if you're wealthy enough, then you could just eat out whenever you want. But and so yeah, so that would be my second sort of bit of advice is, besides liberating some time, liberate a little bit of money. I mean, it could be $300, $200 that you set aside, and whenever you get stumped, you happily have this little bit of money set aside that you're going like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna just try something else, and I'm gonna try to get inspired from. You could try something from many different cultures, from or from familiar cultures, and so yeah, it's another little bit of advice.
Excellent advice. So I know you shared a bit about how you got into doing the black metal chef, but I'm wondering, how has the response to that been? And I'm just curious, how did that go? Do you ever have people asking you questions about veganism related to being the vegan black metal chef?
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, all the time. I guess I mean it's had a mixed response. I would say mostly like largely positive. I mean even 90 something% positive in general. I mean, yeah, of course you get if you do anything on the internet, you're gonna get some interesting negative comments. But in general, it's largely positive. Yeah, actually, I mean, I do live cooking shows around the U.S. and around the world, where during the live cooking shows, where I'll usually make 2 to 3 meals, like from start to finish, like right in front of people, uh, and uh, and during that time, there's just a lot of cooking time, and guess what? Things just have to sit there and cook, and it's kind of boring. So during that time, people go around and ask if the audience has any like questions. We do like a live Q&A and like discussion about these exact topics, and people ask questions, and I do my best. I'm an absolute expert on my opinion, so.
So what is a common question that you do get?
Oh, I mean, they're all over the place, but like, um, I mean, I guess the vegan story is a common question. The um, I mean, what bands do I listen to and what kind of music do I make is pretty common. I can't like my mind is going blank at the moment of any other of totally awesomely insightful questions, but I'm sure one will loop back around as we take
Yes, yes.
questions
Well,
from you all.
feel free just to let me know if one pops in. But I was watching some of your episodes, and I thought it was amazing how you put the lyrics in and how the lyrics relate to what you're making. I thought that was absolutely incredible. I don't know if you designed each song for each meal, or
I
how did you
did,
do that?
yeah, yeah, no, exactly. That's the only way to do that.
Gee, it's
The
a really elaborate process. So if anybody hasn't watched one, I suggest going to YouTube and tell the YouTube channel again. It's the
Oh,
best.
it's just
Yeah,
vegan black
yeah.
metal chef. Yeah, if you Google anything even somewhat similar to that, it will come up.
And
And
then
and yeah, I mean, there's not a tremendous amount of them because they take a very long time to make, and they yeah, just the I mean, I guess in that like sort of written 2 hour plus long albums along with all the video, and yeah. So I make them as much as I can. I just recently moved back to Orlando, Florida, from Los Angeles. It was significantly harder to build my video set and do sound stuff out there because that take things that if you have even a small house in Orlando that you can do there, that's like millionaire stuff out in California. to be able to have just the space to make like noise and video all in the same spot.
Right.
And
Yeah, that's amazing. That is very cool. I actually um, live down the street from Robert Trujillo, and he's with,
oh,
yeah, yeah, yeah. And so I hear him practice sometimes. Even
well,
even in LA, it's like,
that's the current basis for Metallica for everyone
yes,
that
for
doesn't
those of
know.
you who don't know. Yeah. Yeah, so this is so cool. It's really awesome what you're doing, the veganism. And so I'm definitely going to share your videos with my neighbor. I think he'll enjoy them.
For sure.
And he knows about veganism, and his wife makes some amazing vegan food at some of our local potlucks. So it's awesome. And
I heard
this,
rumors that maybe Kirk Hammett, one of the guitarists in Metallica, might be vegan as well, but I'm not.
yes, yes, I think so. I think so. Yeah, yeah. So it's really growing the movement, and I think it's super amazing that in um, music, in the music industry, that people have taken it up and are actually singing about it. And you're one of the main people who's singing lyrics that actually match the food. So I think this is thrilling, and if anyone hasn't done so, please go and watch these videos because they're really informative. I mean, they actually teach you how to cook something while being absolutely hilarious. I also was wondering, do you ever run into people who are concerned about Satan, like actual, this connection to the devil or anything like that? Do you ever have
Oh,
people ask you those questions?
oh yeah, yeah, of course. I mean, I just tell them you can believe whatever fairy tales you want, and that's on you. That's not on me. So,
Yeah. Yes, people were asking, "Oh, how could you promote Satan as part of, our organization in defense of animals?" And I wrote back that, well, actually, it's Seitan. It's a different spelling, and this is a meat-based substitute.
yeah.
So, I mean, a plant-based meat substitute. So it was very interesting that connection. And
Oh
did
yeah,
you?
yeah, yeah. It's a fun play on words that just happens to work out for my benefit.
Yes, yes. So you did that
But
intentionally. You were thinking
yeah, oh
about
yeah,
that.
of
Yeah,
course,
yeah,
of course,
yeah.
of
Okay.
course. Yeah.
Okay, great, great, great. Well, this has been such a pleasure. I'm going to do one little quick check and just see if we've got anybody with other questions for you in our Facebook group here, and I don't see any happening right now. So I just want to thank you so much for joining us all the way from Orlando and being able to tell us a little bit about like behind the scenes, what goes on, what you think
Absolutely.
about how you started your program, but also how you started your vegan journey. I mean, you weren't all of a sudden this icon of vegan black metalism. So it's you started someplace, and that's good for everyone to know who's on their vegan journey. Who knows, you might be putting together your passions with your choice to be vegan someday. You could start a business, you could become an entertainer. You just don't know. It can be very inspiring. So I think this is wonderful and very exciting. And if anyone who's with us has any other question they want to ask, go ahead. You can either put it in the chat box or um, let's see, we've got here just, yeah, we've got some people saying, yay, Brian is great. People are
Thank you.
happy that you've joined us, and that's really, really awesome. So I'm again just like thrilled that you're here and that you've brought this to us because this is like in a way our major grand finale of our Carnivores Anonymous presentations. And so this one will live on our Carnivores Anonymous Facebook page. So if anybody wants to catch the whole thing, if you tuned in later, then you can find it there. And for those of you who've joined us in the webinar, I'll send everyone a replay link tomorrow. So
Well,
this is
I'm honored to be here. Thank you for having me.
yeah, it's really a pleasure. And I wish we had the soundtrack in the background, but we'll just have to imagine it going on. And I I encourage you to keep it up. I really do. I think it's going to go somewhere. And I watched your interview on Nightline ABC or
Oh
NBC.
yeah, 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 yeah.
That was fantastic. And I think that the person who was the host liked it, really liked it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's pretty funny that that guy he was actually like that in real life too. Like I mean, he was actually like, "Hi, I'm Mr. Fake. Like, how are you?" Like, I was like, "Whoa, man! Like, you you never break that." Like, and
Yes.
yeah. So, and actually, I've got a funny story about that ABC Nightlight thing. So after we made the food and we all headbanged in it like at the end and got our hair in it. Like when I was like, okay, who wants to try it? And everyone's like, oh no, that's nasty. Like, I don't want to do it with my hair. But as they were cleaning up and bringing out the equipment, as long as there was no one else in the room, each of them individually, unknown to each other, came over to me and said, "Oh, I want to try a piece. Like, I don't care. I'm nasty." Like, and each of them, like, individual, and I just thought that was the funniest thing ever.
That's
And
greatest.
like,
That's so awesome. I wonder if you had like one of those candid cameras in the background, that would have been perfect. You
oh,
could
I
do the
wish,
bloopers after the interview.
I wished that would have been fantastic.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's great.
there's your social conditioning lesson, like of the way that people react in a group versus individually,
Hmm.
and yeah, so they're all socially conditioned to behave a certain way, but but
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
but then
actually really cool to think about from a vegan advocacy point of view too, because if you're in a large group, you might try talking to people one-on-one about veganism or share vegan food with them one-on-one. That's a really
sure,
great tip, actually.
sure.
Yeah. So is there anything else you want to say before we
I don't think we could
depart?
end better than that.
I think you're right. I think that's a perfect ending, actually. The blooper scene. I love it. So thank you so much, Brian, for joining us. I'm so excited to introduce everyone to you because this was about meeting Brian Manowitz, and now everyone has done it. So this is Lisa Levinson signing off from Carnivores Anonymous with In Defense of Animals, and we hope that you feel a bit more inspired to take your vegan path. And thanks to Brian for doing so and kind of lighting the way for all of us.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Take care, everyone. Have a wonderful evening. Good night.
Good night.